Hello, today we're focusing on two young musicians who are going to share their stories and their talents with us. Hello, Luke.
Hi, Judy.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
nice to meet
actually
you.
in person.
In person.
I've been doing it over the phone the last couple of times.
Okay, and Dalton?
Yes.
First time we're meeting, and first time we're literally speaking with each other.
Certainly nice to meet you.
No text between us yet. Okay. Well, it's so wonderful to be here. This is the first time I've ever been in Hillsdale, Michigan, and the first time I've been at Hillsdale College. It's very beautiful. It's a beautiful day out there, but what we're going to do here is going to be great too.
Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, great music coming up. So Luke, this is actually the first time we're meeting in person. We met / found out about each other in a very unusual way.
Actually, though, yeah, it was very serendipitous in a way. Yeah. So
I saw one of your albums on the counter at a coffee shop or a coffee roasting company in Glen Arbor.
Leelanau Coffee Roasting Company.
And somebody just got a plug.
Hey.
Okay. And we might have to edit that out. But I asked about it, and I found out from the individuals that were working there, oh yeah, we know Luke, he's a really good musician. And I said, oh, you think it's a good album? And they said, yeah. So I went, I'd like to get one. And so they were looking at me kind of like, somebody like you wants that music? And so I explained that I actually do filming for Up North Media, and am looking for individuals that have creativity in them and present that to other people. And they said, you should talk to Luke. But the only way to reach you was to leave you a little note.
Yeah.
Which, months later? No, maybe a month or so later.
It was later in September, wasn't it?
Yeah. I left it in early August.
Early August, yeah. I had just left to head back to school for, I'm a head RA and house director down here, so they brought us all back like a month early for training and everything. But yeah, it was funny. We got the note. My dad, he went up for the weekend to, I think he had to split some wood or something. There was a tree that came down near our property.
Northern Michigan, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, actually, though. Like that storm in 20...
We had just had some bad storms,
Yeah. But he'd come up and he went to the coffee shop, and everyone, I think the one girl was at the register. It might have been the same girl you talked to. Like, recognized him and said, "Here's this piece of paper." And he texted me the picture, and he's like, "Hey, I just found this."
It's wonderful again to meet you, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your music in person because the album was wonderful.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now, Dalton and you have a different story in terms of how you met. Would you like to introduce Dalton?
It's true, yeah. So this is the one and only Dalton Sala. That's him in all his glory. Yeah.
Well, we met originally, I think in Galloway, right? And you were downstairs and I was upstairs.
Yeah, so Galloway's one of the men's dorms on campus, one of the bigger ones.
We found out that we both played guitar, and I remember one of the first times we got together and just jammed. It was in the stairwell, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All those echoes.
Oh wow.
Right, and
I've got an image. I can just see it.
Oh, and it was a really nice, reverberating sound, and we didn't really know what music that we liked in common, or what sort of things we played, but it was the sort of encounter musically where you just say, hey, let's play in G. And there's enough vocabulary in common musically that we were able to just kind of build off of each other, and it all started from there.
Yeah, actually, and it was kind of cool too, because going forward too from that time when we started to play more and more together, and we started to play at the coffee shop in town every once in a while. It was interesting how that vocabulary, our respective vocabularies are very different. Mine was much more in like the sort of the backwoods folk world, or like kind of blues and things like that, and you were a bit more jazz and classical.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that term. I don't think I've ever heard that term. The vocabulary, using the notes in discussion as a vocabulary. Can you explain a little bit more about how that helps you as musicians, thinking of it that way?
Yeah, definitely. It's especially helpful when we just sit down like we did to play a song and we kind of know what the bass line is. So bass line, not in the term of like bass, treble, all that, but like bass line of where we're kind of starting from and where we're going towards. It's been really fun.
I've always been in awe of that and being able to pick up an instrument. I didn't take any lessons in any music until I was mid-50s. I'll say mid-50s. That's all I'm going to say. But
Leave that ambiguous.
and I'm still not at a performance level, on my own. But I do play a couple of instruments that I can play with others, and that is such a wonderful feeling. I just stay with the timing. The Irish drum, I can play that with an Irish
percussion. Things like that.
I can do that. So. So that's great. So have you guys? Is Dalton on the first album that you're going to play something from today?
Yeah. So on. Oh come on! Why can't I think of it? Solos and Stories.
Oh great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you on any songs on that?
I don't recall. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I ended up recording that one in Thorson Farm up at Port Oneida, Michigan. Northern Leelanau County.
Northern Leelanau County, right in our backyard, so to speak.
So Dalton wasn't actually on the recording for that, but we're currently working on one more right now, and there are several others that are sort of going through the phase of being born, sort of, all the music's being made, called A Sketch of a Man.
That's another wonderful image.
Like music being born.
Music being born, because it's got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
It's got to be incipient somewhere.
Yeah.
And then it's got to come out somewhere.
Well, the best kind's always so organic.
Oh yeah.
So natural. It's beautiful like that. But Dalton, you're going to be on the Sketch of a Man, which will be coming out pretty soon, before Christmas.
Well, that's nice to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I can't say too much about it, so shh. But we're also starting work on another project that will be coming out after that. That's much more different from what I've ever done before, what we've ever done before. So that's also in the works, but that's a long ways off. Still.
Well, if it's a long ways off and we stay in touch, we'll hear from you again. So.
I'll just send it your way.
Okay. Well, I want to get you playing, and you're going to be playing some things from the album that I bought. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is
Solos and Stories.
Solos and Stories. I love that. And I really did love some of those stories that evoked the northern Michigan area.
Yeah.
And I recognized. I was like, oh my gosh, I recognize
I love it when that happens.
I love it when that
It's
happens.
so
Yeah. So, and also to the upcoming music. Okay. I have one other question about the songwriting process. I've always wondered, where do the songs come from? When someone gets a thought, can they get a co-writer to help them, or how does that work? And how does the music flow so well with that? You can't imagine after you've heard it having any other music with those words. It's in there.
It's true.
It's true.
It's funny at the beginning. It's very much so the opposite. It's like, well, I can't imagine anything with these words, just like the words alone.
That's interesting.
It usually kind of goes something like, I'll wake up at like 3 a.m. sometime on some random day. It's always around exams, which is kind of bad for my sleep schedule. But just kind of come up with like
little
this
heightened endorphin level, a little anxiety.
Yeah.
It promotes the creative process.
Endorphins plus anxiety equals creativity.
Creativity, it does.
Let it be known.
Physiologically, that will, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll usually do that and either come up with some sort of idea or write. There's a song on the new Sketch of a Man album called The Legend of Nicholas Jack, which is just an entire story that was written in like 2 hours.
Is it a story about a person or someone who came into your...
It's a story about a completely fictional character.
Oh, okay.
Who, it's sort of like Forrest Gump, that movie, a completely fictional character who kind of like happens to be in some actual events.
Okay.
And they all kind of come full circle in the development of that character.
Right. Okay.
We've done it a little bit, not as much as we should probably.
Okay.
But usually then I'll come up with that idea, and then I'll come running to Dalton, who in my eyes actually knows what he's doing with music. And like with I Know a Girl especially, I'll usually tell you the idea, and either we'll both come up with the music, or like with that one, it was just you, almost.
Yeah, well, the truth is, Judy, that our songwriting process is by no means static.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a specific list of steps, and in reality, each song we play differently every time we play it. There's not a single version of any given piece, but rather the first time we write it is honestly sometimes no different than each time we play it afterward, because what really happens is, with each song there's sort of out there these notes, these possibilities, combinations that you can pull down and sort of incorporate based on the mood at the time, right? If we're feeling very ecstatic, if we're feeling very excited, then those notes are, very excited, likewise, fast, they're powerful, fast runs, quick, louder. But if we happen to be exhausted, if it's been a long day at school, then the same song can sound like a dirge before it sounded like a celebration. So,
and sometimes you might go, hey, I like it that way.
Exactly.
There are some of my favorite Celtic songs. When I hear them, I know that that's literally a dirge, because and it just brings up the right emotion, so, which actually brings up a question, for you, Dalton. What are some of the biggest influences on your music? Life?
Yeah,
art?
That's a great question, because
The world?
what I often find is that what comes out is not necessarily what has entered in. The big exception is, I have to say, my biggest influence is my late guitar teacher, Gene Schneider. Very exceptional guitarist and producer based in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And he's the one who took my raw interest in guitar playing and over a period of years just shaped it into something feasible. And so first and foremost, I have to give any credit to what I can play, or any of my influence, any of what I've learned, to him. And then beyond that, some of my biggest influences aren't even necessarily known for their instrumental guitar parts or instrumental parts in general, but they would have to be artists like Andrew Bird and Ben Howard, older school guitarists like David Gilmour and Jimmy Page were an influence early on. Yeah. Okay. And every guitarist kind of goes through his Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd phase and picks up some of the chops.
I kind of skipped over that phase somehow. I don't know.
That's all a part of, you mentioned you like the word vocabulary, and that's all a part of building that vocabulary, is understanding how different musicians look at music. It's really like a language, because to each musician there's a certain language that is formed by all of their influences. And you may have someone who has only played classical pieces and played Bach and Haydn and Purcell, and they will approach music in a totally different way. And really it takes getting to know them and playing with them to see, that's interesting. I really like the way that you view that. It's different, but it's something that afterward, you yourself can incorporate. And so all of those influences gather together like that, whether you know the person or whether you're just playing their music. And it gets to the point where someone like Luke and I, even though we never knew each other beforehand, can say, hey, do you like X, Y, Z? Yeah.
So then you can...
Right.
And
then
wonderful.
Even if it's implicit, we can just build off of it.
Okay, so it goes from individual influences, and then other people's influences on them and what they've learned. And I'm really glad that you edified a teacher, because my background's in education. And so you hope that, you know, your influences continue on in someone's work, but you don't always know. So we're sending that up to Gene today, that you really edified him very nicely. So great, okay, wonderful. You're very well spoken about that process, and it's not something, like I said, that most people would have a peek over the pale into, because they're not musicians. Like, I play with music, you know, but I'm not a studied musician. So thank you very much
Well,
for
we're all
sharing
tapping
that.
into something beautiful. So at whatever level, it's just about the music.
Yeah,
Okay.
very true.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And same question for you, Luke.
Ooh.
Do you have a particular influence that
You
helps
know,
to guide you, or?
I don't even really know. It all kind of, the entire process itself kind of started when I was like a toddler. I was that kid who would not fall asleep easily unless, and my parents found this out much to their surprise, they played either Bruce Springsteen or Bob Seger.
Okay.
And it would just out like a light.
Well, they picked some good stuff.
They picked some really good stuff. And
Not exactly what I would consider as sleepy time music.
Right?
Yeah. It's like the reverse. Yeah.
I was a weird kid.
where was Dylan?
Yeah,
Quiet,
exactly.
yeah.
It's funny. I don't think I ever I didn't really get into like Bob Dylan or Gordon Lightfoot or who's another great writer. Even like John Mayer, contemporary people, until much later, even like middle school or high school. I think
That doesn't seem late. That seems pretty early.
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess maybe
Yeah.
and so far, but anyway, it's funny. I was classically trained vocally since I was 5 years old.
Oh.
My old music teacher in like elementary school, Mrs. Pearson. Mrs. Pearson, thank you if you're watching. She recommended it and got my mom getting me going into it, and my dad was very behind it as well. So I did that a lot, and as I grew up more, I got more into writing. Actually, I wasn't even much into music. I was much more of a writer and an actor. So in school, that was all I really did creative writing and all that. And I like to do plays and musicals. In high school, I was in 4 musicals, and that was a lot of fun. And it wasn't until like late middle school that I even started to pick up guitar, and that was when I was in the Kalamazoo Children's Chorus. And just a couple years after that, we would be touring Italy. We would go on a 10-day tour of Italy. We'd go to St. Peter's Basilica.
Wow, that
and
was
sing.
quite a gift for your.
Oh, it was so
a
much
big
fun.
boost.
Yeah, it was.
Gift for your
It's
musical
funny
life.
being in a choir like that, like very classical. That was when I got tuned into more blues and jazz, because they didn't have anyone that could do that. But since I'd been listening to Bob Seger and Bruce Springsteen since I was young, I was like just implicitly loved it. So they're like, here you go, have fun,
sing, enjoy.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So where do you feel you are right now in your creative process? We're gonna see it in just a couple of minutes.
It's true.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. I think right now it's that writing component, that creative writing, and the love of doing that, and that kind of fused with my love of acting that came out in my middle school and high school. And once I picked up guitar, I taught myself guitar, and I learned piano shortly afterwards, as well as Native American flute, harmonica, and mountain dulcimer as well. Yeah, it's a good instrument.
We'll try and play together someday, but I know I won't be able to up to your standard. But
I don't
okay.
know. Probably might be able to. But so it kind of having that like big hodgepodge of all these different things. I've always been the kind of person who likes to mix it up. So I just decided early in high school, why don't we throw it all together?
Yeah.
So then came in the creativity with music. I love to come up with that, and writing lyrics for it. It's a lot of fun because you get to make a story.
Yeah, because the stories, because I sometimes struggle, when I'm listening to music. I don't understand what this song is about, because it doesn't have a story, and I always think that's kind of, well, that must be me, because I can't read between the lines, or or it's a song that's of a different era maybe than I grew up with or something. And but that's wonderful to hear how you've put it all together like that. So
yeah, hopefully I've been able to do it in a somewhat understanding way.
Okay,
but,
well, I've heard some of it, so I think it's understandable.
Oh, yes.
And I've had an opportunity to hear Dalton play a little bit just as we're warming up here for today, and you have a very beautiful tone. Just the touch. My son was a guitar player, and he's good, but he chose screamo heavy metal. So we couldn't understand the lyrics, and I liked the music. I liked the energy of the music, but I never did understand what they were playing or what they were singing about. That was fun. But so that's a tip of the hat to my son David, who's still a good guitar player. But so, do you have any questions for me about creativity, about where creativity at any age can go?
I definitely think I'm so happy that you're doing it, because it's such a great thing. Actually, I had this discussion. I'm going to be on a panel this upcoming week. I'm a biology major, and I'm going to be on a panel.
Which totally throws me.
Right, it's just
biology. Okay.
Uses different sides of the brain,
Yep.
so it keeps them all exercised. But I'm going to be on a panel later this week talking to high schoolers about the importance of creativity in the realm of a liberal arts education, especially in the realm of science. And I think it's just so important to stress that in any field, no matter what, even if it's like punching numbers as an accountant, or if it's as a research scientist, or as musicians, creativity is something that you have to have.
Find ways to.
Yeah, and it makes life so much more colorful. And not everyone has that same kind of creativity. Some people's creativity is musical or audible or something like that. But there are so many different kinds of creativity. It's pretty much like a coffee shop. There's so many different kinds, but they all come from the same root.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You just gave me some tips on how to broaden, because creativity at any age also is creativity of various phases of life. That's any age. It's also hopefully going to be about just the different influences, how people came to their music, and I just want to look at the diversity of that. So we've heard already that part of it's from your background, the smells and sights and sounds of where you grew up, and also from the people who influenced you in life and all the music you've heard. And maybe every once in a while there was just some weird sound out there that you're going to get into your music and you're going to go, that worked,
Yes,
that worked. Yeah. So it's to be made, it's to be created and developed.
Yeah,
so,
it's truly beautiful that way.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today to witness your playing together and getting to know both of you, and for having you share aspects of your creativity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Dawn and I are going to play you a couple of songs, the first of which is going to be called I Know a Girl. This is a really fun song with harmonica and a really awesome intro that you wrote that was beautiful. So we hope you like it. We did this one pretty late at night. This was like, what would you say? We wrote it at like midnight? Yeah, it was like something like 1 in the morning, like midnight, 1 in the morning. But I Know a Girl.
shoot me down right where I'm standing. No night, no girl whose voice is like the wind. It can draw me close or it can blow me away. I know a girl whose soul is like amber, with a transparent coat and a curious center. I know a girl, but what really matters, what really matters is she knows me. I know a girl whose hair is like the summer. It's warm and it's soft, but it can drive her insane. Oh, and I know a girl whose smile is like the sunrise. It's a thing so common but welcome all the same. And I know a girl whose voice is like a teardrop. It's so small and so quiet, but it can grip my very soul. And I know a girl, what really matters, what really matters is she knows me. I know a girl who doesn't go quickly, do anything and everything, and that's alright with me. I know a girl, what really matters, what really matters, what really matters is she knows me. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That was fun. I always love playing that song. especially your solo at the end. We're going to play another song. This one's called Ship of Souls. And this one is actually based on experiences that I had up in the Traverse City area, on the Bay Area. And for those of you who live up there or have been up there quite a bit, you've been able to go out on the lake and see those clippers that are out there, those ones with all the sails and everything. One night, it was really foggy and really kind of eerie, and I saw one of those out on the bay. It looked like an old pirate ship. And, of course, I was old enough to know what it was at the time, but, like, what if it was like a ghost ship or a pirate ship? And it turns out that Lake Michigan's actually one of the more deadly lakes for ships and for planes and things like that. It's like we have the Lake Michigan Triangle, which is like more deadly than the Bermuda Triangle, I guess, which kind of makes it, makes me fear going out salmon fishing sometimes. But anyway, this is a song about that. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. So here we go. Down the avenue, thinking it was just a regular night, but then you saw those strange lights on the water. It was out there on the lake, some old and beaten pirate ship that comes floating along and there's no one inside. Well, she's scared and she's confused, but she just moves closer now and she sees those fires blazing high. These fires you see burning in the night, they create pillars of light. Where that light goes, no one knows, but we know there are ships of souls. But we know there are ships of souls. Cannons begin to fire, there's another boat out on the lake, those monsters of wood and steel. They make shot after shot and they take hit after hit, the ships of souls, the good and the bad. Some eternal struggle before our very eyes, but then it's gone, it's hidden from sight. Fires you see burning in the night, they create pillars of light. Where that light goes, no one knows, but we know there are ships of souls. But we know there are ships of souls. This next song we're going to do is going to be a song called Runaway Train, which is literally one of our favorite songs to play. It's this one isn't on Solos and Stories. That last song, Ships of Souls, was on Solos and Stories. This song is actually going to be on an upcoming album that we have not yet named. But I'm doing a dual harmonica setup for this one. So with one harmonica, I can do the major, and with the other harmonica, I can do the minor, so I can do some bluesy stuff in there too. So, yeah, this is Ship of Souls. Or not Ship of Souls. This is Runaway Train. Good Lord. My Ship of Souls has left the building.
What's that coming down the track? Looks like the 707. Well, I don't see it scheduled for today. Looks like we gotta run away. Started this old track back in 1861. They said there was no stopping us. Take a look at me now. Oh, the wheels kept on turning, I was left behind. They said, Mr. O'Hara, you know you gotta keep an eye on the time so you can keep the tracks in line. This isn't the life that I wanted, it's life that I got, so I'd better keep it while I can, yeah. What's that coming down the track? Looks like the 707. Well, I don't see it scheduled for today. It looks like we gotta run away. So I bring them in from New York and St. Paul, out to see the mountains there and out to see that crisp clean air. But you gotta keep them safe along the way, 'cause there's a lot of rough terrain between here and there. Some come in riches and some come in rags. Some of them look just like me from about 10 or so years ago. And the best that you can do is pat them on the back and send them on their way. What's that coming down the track? Looks like the 707. Well, I don't see it scheduled for today. It looks like we gotta run away. in the valleys and the cracks. Pretty soon all the tracks have been washed away. What's that coming down the track? It looks like the 707. That whole track has been washed away, yeah. It looks like we got It looks like we got It looks like we got It looks like we gotta run away. Hey. And that was Runaway Train. This next song is called The Art of Doing Nothing, and there is a story behind this one. We wrote this one, was it during midterms? Yeah, it was like during midterms this time last year, and we were both completely exhausted because we both had a constitution midterm, and we both sat there kind of like looking at the wall for a solid hour, no joke. And we were like, you know what'd be fun? Is if we made a song about this. And then my favorite key is D, so I just started playing along with it, and in a couple hours we had this song. So this is The Art of Doing Nothing. Today I did nothing at all. Just sat in my room and stared at the wall. I had a cup of coffee in the morning light. I had a shot of whiskey to send off the night. I put all my troubles on hold for a little while. Think about something new. You can hold the phone, sir. You could take a message too. I promise I'll get back to you soon. I let my thoughts go where they wanted to go. Didn't try to stop them, no, I just let them pass through. took me to foreign places, to unknown lands, to places I had never been and hadn't made any plans. And when I was up there in my imagination, questing through unknown lands, oh, I would always find just a little piece of my own home in me. So nice to step away for a little while, put everything in perspective, and everything that seems so big before, now from here it seems so small. And I wish that I could stay this way forever and not go back, but that's not how it works. So I guess I did nothing at all. It's just call it an art, hang it on the wall. That one's going to be out on the new Sketch of a Man album coming out later this year. So we've done a lot of songs for you, and we hope you've really enjoyed them. We've really enjoyed playing them. We're going to do our last song, which is a song called Perry's Lake, which we have on the album Solos and Stories. It's out right now. But as well as we did a different version that involved a lot more jazz instrumentation that will be out on the new Sketch of a Man album coming out later this year. Perry's Lake it's a true story, actually, about a guy named Joe Perry. He lived up in North Bar, at the North Bar Lake, which is just outside of Empire, Michigan. And that was his lake for a while. It was called Perry's Lake because what he did is he immigrated over from Ireland in 1861, and he started an orchard there. And that was pretty much his day job. But during the night when there were like storms and things like that, like disturbances out on the lake, he would go out on top of the dunes there that are right up near the lake, wave a big lantern about up there to signal to passing ships to make them think that he was the lighthouse. And they didn't have GPS then, they didn't have anything like that, so they thought that was the lighthouse, and that was how they did their course corrections. So they corrected course, and the freighter that might have been out in the lake that he was signaling to ended up beaching itself. And all the crew would go for help over to Glen Haven because they had the rescue area there. But Mr. Joe Perry, he would get in I think it was like a fairly large rowboat. I can't remember if it was 16 or 18 feet. It might be even bigger. I can't remember. But the point is, he would row out in a rowboat, out to this boat, or whatever boat he happened to beach there.
he would take everything off it, and he'd take it back to his lake and put it in a shack out the back of his property so that he could sell it for later. So he was a real-life pirate. People who did know him thought of him as a recluse and a little bit of a jerk, because he kind of had to be in order to evade the law, but this is a much more romanticized version of that. Shall we?
It's a wild night out on the lake out there. The wind is rising high. I think I'll take my lantern up out to the highest point. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll put it in the air, searching for a response. And when that horn it blows, well then I'll know what goes on. You see, I've been here now for just a little while. Tucked away in this cove, I can see the ships for miles. And when one catches my eye, I wave it to the shore. When the bottom of the boat hits the bottom of the sea, well then my work begins. This is the life I have chosen. No, not of valor but of cunning. So please be welcome to my lake, Perry's Lake. Here in 1861, me and my family, we cleared the place, put orchards in, but at night is where I thrive. It's when Joe Perry gets into his craft like Robin Hood of old. I don't steal for the poor, but I steal for my own. Still some try to stop me. Try and run me away. I'll hide my prizes in my shack and near the back of the lake. Let's hope they don't get washed away by the storms that come by day. Oh, so I can keep my lake, Perry's Lake.
Perry's Lake.